here around 12 o'clock, so do them like we normally do, one at the podium and one out there.
All right, it's been a while since I've had a chance to see your smiling faces, so welcome. Glad to have y'all here. We're busily preparing for Stanford. I mean, we've had 5 practices, or we've gotten 5 practices in under our belt at this point. The guys are doing some community service today. We're not practicing today, and we've got 3 more practices before the end of this week, before we cut the guys loose for a little bit of break for them to go home and see their families for the holidays. And then we will be leaving on Christmas Day to go to El Paso, where we'll have our normal week of practices, and as we and prepare for Stanford.
So how many practices will you have before the game?
8. We'll have 11 or 12.
You get 15. Is there a reason why you don't use all 15? It just doesn't work out as far as...
It just didn't work out for finals. We just finished finals up on Friday, and so we try to make sure and not practice during finals.
As far as you know, are there any seniors or draft eligible juniors that will not play in the bowl game?
Not that I know, no.
What are your thoughts on players such as Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, you announced today that they are not going to participate in the bowl game to prepare for their NFL futures?
I mean, I don't really know the specifics about it, other than he's not going to play. I don't know what the reasons are. Somebody said to prepare for the draft. I mean, it's each individual's right to do what's best for them, and if he feels like that's what's best for him, then I'm sure that David Shaw and their staff support him, and it's unfortunate for us and the game and the bowl itself, because he obviously is a great player, and I would have loved to have lined up against him, but it's not going to happen, and I know that the next guy, Bryce Love, is a guy that we recruited, and we're very familiar with him and know how explosive he can be, and I'm sure he's excited about the opportunity. I think in the one other game that I remember watching, he started against maybe Notre Dame and had over 100 yards rushing, and so I'm sure he's eager to show what he can do.
Does that change your game planning in any way, shape, or form?
No, because they're gonna do what they do. I mean, they're not gonna change what they do. I mean, they're gonna run the ball and pound it at you and play action pass you, and so I don't anticipate them changing their game plans. We probably won't change ours.
You were saying, obviously, guys have to make the right decision for them generally, but could you imagine that becoming something you see become more commonplace in college football?
Maybe. I don't know. I really think it's each individual kid, I mean, and they have to make the best decision for them, and I'm sure he's thinking that is the best decision for him and his family. So, I mean, how can you not support it?
Do you anticipate having any kind of discussion along those lines with Mitch?
No, I don't. I mean, Mitch and I have had multiple conversations, but he's got a decision to make, and will make it at some point. My role in that is to give him as much information as possible, and to support him and his family. To support him and his family in their decision. And I'm sure that he will make a very good, educated decision. He's got a very thorough process. He's not just doing this off the fly. I mean, he's really putting a lot of time and effort and talking to a lot of people. So I think he's doing a really good job with it.
Do you have a timeline for his decision?
Well, January, I think 16th is the declaration. So so whenever he knows what he wants to do and is comfortable with his decision, let me know. I mean, there's no pressure from me as far as when he needs to tell me.
Is there a fine line for you when you kind of back off? You guys supply him a lot of information, and he requests certain things, but you kind of wait, and you've given him what you've given him, and you kind of wait for him to come to you?
Well, there's not a fine line. I mean, each one of these guys, when I sit down with them and get all this information for them, I mean, I make sure they know this is their decision. It's them, their families, it's their decision. It's not me. It's not anybody on the coaching staff. It is them doing what is best for them, And, because this is their future they're talking about. And so I don't want them to feel pressured one way or the other from me or anybody else. You know, this is, hey, here's the information, okay? If you want my advice, ask for it. If you don't ask, because I'm not gonna give it to them. And I'm not gonna make a decision for them. I'm not gonna tell them what I think is best. I'm just gonna give them the information, and then I'm gonna expect them to make a good educated decision.
Do you have an opinion on quarterbacks with 1 year starting experience, how prepared they are for the next level? Especially if they might get thrown into.
I do. I have an opinion on it, yeah. But I'm not gonna give it to you.
That was my
You know,
next question.
I mean, because I haven't given that to him, so I don't want him to read my opinion in the newspaper, you know, so.
Are you still acquiring information for him, or is that something that you've already done?
No, well, I've already given him a lot of information, and I'm still acquiring information for him. Anything that he asks for, I'm gonna make sure I get. You know, I want him to feel good about his decision.
What other guys have you had to make, or I guess, get information for, other than Nas, obviously?
MJ Stewart, Elijah Hood, Donnie Miles, and Dez. No, that's it. Those guys. I'm sorry, not Dez.
Where are they in the process right now?
Same place.
situation?
He is. Same place. The only one that's made a decision is Nas. You know, and he made everybody aware of that. The rest of them haven't made any decisions yet. Again, I don't say, hey, here's the date I want you to make a decision. It's when you make your decision, let me know. You know.
You guys didn't end the season with the momentum you wanted. You entered November in a pretty good clip, and then the Duke and NC State games. When you had some time to step back and maybe look at the way things went coming down the stretch, did you put your finger on anything in particular?
Yeah, I would say as you go back and look at it, I think we underachieved offensively. I mean, we didn't meet our expectations offensively, and I think that was a big part of why we weren't successful in those games. Not to take anything away from the opposing teams, because they did a great job in defending us, but we've got high expectations for what we do on offense, and I didn't think we performed, you know, like we normally do. And a lot of that was just making the ordinary plays that we make, and I said that at the time. We didn't make ordinary plays, and you know, we didn't score enough points. We didn't score more points than they scored. So I mean, you know, to me, it was I think we underachieved there in the month of December on offense.
Do you wait till after the bowl game to look at the full season in the composite?
Yeah, I mean, I wait till after recruiting, because I mean, when the bowl game's over with, we're full speed ahead on recruiting until February 6th, or whatever that date is, that first Wednesday in February. And then after that, you know, then we start really breaking down every aspect of the offense, the defense, the special teams. And not only that, I mean, we break down every phase of the program. I mean, from the off-season, the winter conditioning, to the summer, to everything, because everything plays or is a factor in the way we perform. And so, I mean, we look at everything. I mean, you know, from the smallest details, from what we're eating to when we're eating to, you know, I mean, it's how much sleep we're getting, our hydration plan, everything. I mean, we really do. We try to break everything down and see where we can improve.
That said, do you have an idea how many points the offense left on the field this season?
No, I don't.
With the season not going the way you had in mind, how close is the team in terms of the locker room going into the bowl game in a situation where, remember how in the Quick Lane Bowl, when you lost, it was a bad locker room? How close to this team?
Yeah, this team, this is totally different. I mean, there are no chemistry problems on this football team. I mean, there's nothing like that whatsoever. So that will not be an issue, no.
How much does the result of the bowl game kind of set the tone for the off season?
I
Not
think-
just the
I think
players,
it
but the
does.
staff too.
I think it not only sets the tone for the off season, it gives you a feeling about the previous season. I mean, and how you finish and everything. I think that's important, because one of our goals at the beginning of the year was to make sure we win our last game. You know, and so that's a goal that is achievable for us, and so we want to make sure that happens. Would love for this team to go out the right way, you know, for the 16 team, and because they've done some great things this season, some great things. But the way December ended, you know, we've got a bad taste right now, and so we need to finish this thing strong.
How much do you use this time, not only just to game plan for Stanford, but to have good practices that will take you into the offseason and then into the spring?
Yeah, every practice we've had up until this point has been focused on our team, and then we started introducing about 3 days ago Stanford, but still focusing on us. I mean, because we're still getting reps with all the guys that are redshirting and everything right now. Now, at this point, after today, it's all Stanford. Everything that we do is Stanford. So that gives us another 6 practices just on Stanford themselves. So, but we've really gotten some good reps with a bunch of young guys that were redshirting. You know, as we did that throughout the season, I think it's kind of been good to see how those guys have progressed throughout the year. You know, and that's been really good.
When you said you didn't go to the full 15 practices, is it the development part that's sort of the part that got, you know, that you didn't get to as much of? It's not game.
Yeah, no,
prep,
we're gonna get the game plan reps. I mean, so it would have been just 3 more practices of development, you know, so is what we missed out on.
How do you describe the?
But I can tell you this, I can't remember a single time that I've ever gotten 15 practices in, ever, for a bowl game. So,
Just because of the
Just-
schedule?
for finals, I mean,
Yeah.
just, you know, academics is important, so.
All the way back to, I mean, even as an assistant?
I can't remember a single time they've gotten 15 practices in.
How do you account for the regression on the offense?
You know what, I don't really have that answer because I haven't really gone back and broken that down. I think one thing is, you know, is for us to be successful, we know we've got to be able to run the ball efficiently. And when we do that, everything tends to be better, as we know. And so, you know, I think we've got to, again, refocus on making sure we run the ball effectively.
How has Tommy Hatton graded out the last couple of games filling in for Caleb?
I think he's done all right. You know, it's you know, Tommy's in a position where he had to fill in for Caleb, and he's learning the position. He's getting better and better every week. You know, I think he's done fine.
Do you foresee him staying in that position, or will he potentially move?
I don't know. He may be. You know, he'll go back and compete at the center again in the spring, I'm sure. And because with Crowley leaving, you know, there's a spot that we need to get filled for sure. And that's going to be a really important competition there this spring.
How have the seniors been as far as leading and as they get toward their last game?
I think they've done a great job. You know, we had 7 guys that graduated on Sunday. We had practice Sunday morning. Every single one of them were there, and I think this game is important to them. I think they all want to finish their career here in the right way. I think their energy level in practice and the way they've led has been really good. Every practice we've had to this point.
I'm not sure if you'd heard, but the incoming governor said that there was a deal to repeal HB2.
No, I hadn't heard.
The law, you know, the law that caused the ACC title game to get moved. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about politics, so, I mean, I'm not gonna really talk about politics, but I can, you know, I think I said it before that I hated that we had to move the ACC championship game, and I guess there were some other games that had to be moved out of the state, and I hated that for the state of North Carolina. You know, I don't know enough about the bill to be able to comment on the bill itself or anything about it.
Larry, the feedback you got from Nas Jones when you sorted out, was his versatility, being able to play both positions, something that was mentioned?
As far as
Just as a strength that would help him?
talking from him,
Just from what maybe you got from NFL or from outside sources about what can help his draft stock?
oh, I don't think there's any doubt that him being able to play multiple positions is strength, and, you know, I mean, is a strength for him. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that he's done and done well that are going to benefit him at that next level, and I think that's one thing. I mean, being versatile, especially when you go to a 53-man roster and guys have to be able to do more than one thing, those guys become more valuable.
Just come in, one more thing. You were talking about the offense didn't play like up to standard. What about the defense when you kind of take a step back and look at how they play?
Yeah, when you start looking at the last 6, 7 games defensively, especially in the second half, you know, it's like we'd start off a little bit slow in the second half. I don't think, and I don't have those numbers in front of me, but if y'all look them up, I think they only gave up maybe a touchdown or less in just about every game, and, you know, for about 6 or 7 weeks there at the end of the season. You know, we need to improve in the first half, you know, and continue to do a good job. I mean, it's going to be important that we, you know, focus on, you know, limiting the running game. If not, we won't get off the field. So we've got to do a great job against, you know, against Stanford, and they do a super job with it.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.